Alright, so we're talking about film. If you don't know what film is, why did you even click on this video? But we're going to talk about it in relation to Davinci Resolve and the ways that you can achieve a film look. I'm going to go through these three versions that are already in the title, so why am I even talking anymore? Let's start with FilmConvert Nitrate. This goes for about $169 if you're getting the Halation add-on, which I actually highly recommend. First off, here's how you use it. You're just going to go into your color page, you're going to go Effects, go down to FilmConvert Nitrate, and you're just going to drop that onto your node. FilmConvert makes it an easy intro into getting film emulation set. I don't think it's a fantastic plugin, but it gets the job done. You choose your camera profile, plug that in, and you're able to go right from there into your film stock and decide what kind of film stock you want from their short list. I'm not a huge fan of the way that the sliders react. I wish that they slid more so that way I could change the image more. I want kind of those heavier, punchier pieces. For example, here I'll go with saturation all the way up, and that's as much as it gave. If I were to do saturation all the way up almost anywhere else, you'd see a vast difference. So a lot of the controls are gonna have to come in outside of this node, which is typical in a color grading process. I just wish that there was more power in these sliders within the plugin. The on-screen controls are kind of neat to have. I will generally be doing something where I'm changing my color tones somewhere in here. The place I feel that FilmConvert really shines is with the add-on of Halation. So we'll go ahead and enable it here, and we can go view Halation alone. So right now you can't really see anything happening, nothing up there. We increase the sensitivity, and now you can start to see that difference up in here on those brighter pieces. We can also crank it up so it's a little bit stronger, and let's take it so we see the whole image. And you can see the way that that kind of glows on the fringes right over here on her dress. You can see that quite a bit. And we have the option to soften it as well. And then even more controls are down in here. So I gotta tip my hat to FilmConvert for the Halation settings. There's just so much to work with here, and I get why it's an add-on. It's so valuable in this case. If you're trying to go with like an old school look and you want that flicker and film gate, that's not the case here. They won't have that, and I think that's kind of a miss because I don't feel like that's too difficult to do. I could be far off on that, but I think those are things that you can still build within Resolve. It's just a matter of why isn't it implemented into this program. So let's take a look at Dehancer for Davinci Resolve. This goes for about $299 for a year, or for a lifetime it goes for $450. The one thing I loved about the process with Dehancer is they really put a lot of care into the instructions to do it properly. There's the quick and dirty way, which is what I'll show you here, but they actually go into the color space transforms and where you're playing with this on your node tree. It does specify it always needs to be at the end of your node tree, as I would suggest as well. And I just like the care that they put into that. And I mean, for the price tag, it really should. Similar to our last program, you also have the option to choose your camera and be able to play from your camera settings. I love that there is the option to play with different color spaces such as Davinci Resolve Wide Gamut or even Cineon Film Log. Those are a few that I have used before. That is a whole nother topic, but it's something that I love that they did here. The diversity of the controls are super rad. So you can kind of scroll here and see all the different controls that they have here as opposed to the limited amount on the FilmConvert Nitrate. One of the most important parts of Dehancer is the amount of different film stocks you can emulate through this plugin. For example, I've been watching a ton of Succession lately, and I know that they shot that on Kodak Vision 3500. So I'll click on that here, and it'll get me somewhere in that ballpark of the same film or same look that they have in Succession. And something that people may look over pretty quickly is the push-pull. Different film stocks react different ways depending on if they're underexposed or overexposed. So imagine this is actually your underexposure versus your overexposure on when it was shot. So you can kind of do a little bit of research on whatever film stock you're wanting to emulate, and you can see how it reacts. So for example, I know that in Succession that they underexposed to give the Kodak a different kind of a look. So if I go down a little bit, I'll be able to see more of that kind of Succession look that I would be going for. Now, I'm not gonna try to match those shots right now, but we can definitely see that availability. So I love the controls here and what we're able to get out of Dehancer. And when it comes to halation, we can flip that on or off. again, we can actually go to this mask mode and it will just show where the halation is happening. And you can see that fringing right there, and that's the beauty of halation, gives that nice film look. But it goes one step further by also enabling that with bloom. So I'll bring in and I'll enable bloom, and we'll go custom once more, mask mode, and you can see in here all of that spacing where it would be blooming. So we'll just take that off and you can kind of go on and off once more. And I love this bloom. It gives such like a soft, dreamy look to it. Film damage is another one that's added in here, so you'll be able to turn up the amount of things like dust. You can see these little particles that they would be in film for maybe a film that's not cared for very well. The overscan, we'll go ahead and flip that on, and we'll go with one, and as you hit play, you can see this kind of react to the area around it, and you're able to change things very much so, like your gate defocus. You can see that blur in here, or even you can round it off quite a bit more or sharpen it, whatever works for you. We can go into our gate weave, and just to show you what the impact is, I'll exaggerate it quite a bit here. So we'll turn our period all the way down, we'll enable this, we'll turn up our translation X and Y as well as our rotation. So there you are with that heavy shake, almost like it's on a 4 projector. But I'm a huge fan of all the different controls that we have here. I think Dehancer did it really well. The price point is a little difficult. So the last plugin that I'll show here is the Film Look Creator that is inside of Davinci Resolve 19 Studio version. And this is brand new, it's just in the beta version, so let's take a look at it. So there aren't different film stocks in this, but there is still the color space that you're able to jump into. And just looking at this directly, it doesn't have too much of a film look. We can go into something like our grain. That's obviously something that's typical in a film look. Even just as we bring that up, you're able to see that difference of that grain. And our halation is there as well. We can boost that quite a bit. The thing that's missing here is that the halation doesn't have a halation only view. Being able to see it and pick it out with your eyes directly is a little bit more difficult. So now we're kind of sitting in more of like a film-ish look, and we can go into a spot such as our skin bias. Our skin bias takes that skin tone, and the lower that you go, the richer it's gonna make that tone. And the higher you go, the more it's going to go into more of that like pinkish, rosy, desaturated look. You can kind of see in her skin tone here, and then we bring it down, you're able to see how rich it gets. And you can kind of find your spot within there on what you want. And then subtractive saturation takes your saturation and boosts it, but it doesn't actually impact the luminance. So things don't get brighter, it just gets more saturated. The richness will take the most saturated parts of your image and saturate those without added luminance as well. And another bonus to this setup is the split tone. So split tone offers complementary colors to your image. So everyone knows orange and teal and that whole look, and that's because those are on two opposite sides of the color wheel. So if we just look down at our color wheel, we're able to see that orange, we're able to see that teal, two completely different sides. You've got your orange in the highlights, and then you've got your teal in the shadows. As we increase this, that's exactly what we're getting, and it depends on where your hue angle and your pivot are. So as I boost the amount of this impact, and I'll just exaggerate it a little bit, you see how much orangey all these highlights are becoming, and you'll see in the shadows here when I turn it on. Now it's not a huge impact, so that's where we would turn to a spot like our pivot, and that's going to change where that's actually taking place. So as I raise this up, you'll see that it's starting to take over our mid-tones a little bit. So let's keep that real low. This is not a look I'd ever be going for. I'm just exaggerating things. And then the hue angle, imagine this as a spot. I can't point at it with my hand. I have to like use my mouse because you can't see things. If you've got orange and teal, as you adjust the hue angle, that'll change things to something like purple and green. So let's adjust here, our hue angle. There's our green. So this is going around the other way. We've got green, and then in our shadows, it's more purpley. There you go. We're just getting real ugly on this one. So I'm not even gonna use this right now. Working our way down the line. Love the grain. The bloom flicker is an easy one just to add on, super simple controls, and you're gonna use that if it's like an old projector kind of look. Our gate weave doesn't do too much, honestly. I didn't see much movement even when I turned this all the way up. And then we've got our film gate, not too much happening here. So I don't really know what one I'm gonna be using going forward. I really dig the Dehancer options. If I was a pro colorist, I have to go with that one. There's just so many options to be able to play with in there. I think they've done it really well. I think they're only gonna continue to do it well as a company. The Film Look Creator is a fantastic option to have. If I did not own Davinci Resolve yet, I would purchase Studio so that way I can have this Film Look Creator instead of having to spend it elsewhere. The only time I could really see myself using FilmConvert Nitrate anymore is through that Halation add-on. But overall, I'm pretty happy with what the Film Look Creator has built, but if I'm looking to emulate a specific film look, I am gonna go with Dehancer. That's kind of a tough one though, but I'm really happy that Film Look Creator is here and putting this plugin that's already built into Davinci Resolve. I think that's impactful. I mean, high tides lift all ships, so let's just see where all of this goes.